You're listening to the Cricket Podcast.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Cricket Podcast preview of the T20 World Cup. We're on to Grape B. Flipping heck, I mean, me word no good today. In Grape B, we have the West Indies, Scotland, Zimbabwe, and Ireland. We'll be previewing all of those. Just as with the other bits, we're talking about famous people from the country, their best players, some stuff about pedigree, etc., etc. And just like with the first video, I'm going to point you towards our Patreon down below. Support the pod from just £4 a month. You know the drill. Which team do you want to start with? Scotland?
Yeah, I can start with Scotland. Obviously, everybody knows Scotland. They appeared at last year's World Cup. And when I was trying to think of what famous person best suits this team, I went for plucky, up for a fight, and someone who could be relied upon.
Begbie from Trainspotting.
Correct. No, I've actually gone with Hollywood star Gerard Butler. Probably where not Gerhard Butler, which could have been mistaken. The other one. That's where I've got it mistaken. He is always up for a fight. He's got a never say die attitude, and he's got some serious six appeal. Not one of your best, Max. Not liking that pun. He's not only saved the world, but he's also he gives people a chance, and that's what I think Scotland typically want to do in this World Cup. They're there for the ride. They're there to enjoy what's going on. Gerard Butler gives everyone a nice time, and that's what Scotland are here to do. Their captain is Richie Berrington. In this format, he is in every format, he's a batting all-rounder who's technically pleasant to watch. Like with quite a few of the captains of the Associate Nations, he's got a strike rate of around 130. Is an anchor in their batting lineup. He replaced the ever-present Carl Kurtzer in this format, who you all know. Star-wise, as we saw in this side last year, they've got players on their day who can generate pretty big performances, from the sweep crazy George Munsey opening up, pacers Josh Davies, Sharif and Wheel, but there's one star in this side who we've had on the podcast before.
Absolutely,
it's the 24-yard delivery specialist Mark Watt. Left armour. He's a lovely bloke and a great performer, and is a key part of this side, and will no doubt do his measly bowling here as well. Chances, they've not played a lot of T20 cricket in preparation for this World Cup. I think they had 2 T20 internationals up until this point. I think it was today where they played this morning against the Netherlands, and so that's not ideal. Their bowling unit can cause trouble, and with the rest of this group all having the ability to capitulate, I reckon there's a chance they could win one game. And I reckon one game would be a pretty good tournament for these guys. They're going to probably finish 3rd or 4th in Group B, but that's okay.
It's a group of death, isn't it? Group B.
It is. I think it's harsh on Scotland. So I think that they're probably better than the Netherlands, the UAE, and Namibia. I thought they did themselves.
They beat Bangladesh last time.
Yeah, I think they probably the small team that came out of the last World Cup with the most credit.
Mm-hmm.
They get steamrolled by India in the last. match.
When India were already out.
Yeah,
it was an India special.
It was an India special.
How Rahul hit runs by any chance?
For about 1,000. They're good. I think that they're one of the. While you were away, Ross, we were talking about the Netherlands and Namibia and how they've got some players that are kind of on the circuit, but also some players that really don't. Well, that don't really command a place in the 11.
I think that's fair.
They're just there to sort of fill in. I think Scotland have got fewer of those than the other nations at their level. It is harsh on them that they have to play against West Indies and Zimbabwe
and Ireland
and Ireland, who are all test nations.
That
is a group of death.
And Max, we've got to talk about having a bit of pedigree. Making it through to the Super 12 last year was a big thing for them, especially as they only recorded their kind of first World Cup win in 2016. So there wasn't loads of pedigree to work with, but they're on an upward trajectory, which I think is a good thing.
They are officially better than the Scotland international football team as well.
Which is always good.
Yeah.
Kit wise, to round this section off, it's a Ribena kaleidoscope is how I would.
Oh yeah,
I would do that. It's the colours of the thistle plant, I believe. So it's nice. But again, I think they'll do well to win one game.
Should we do West Indies next?
Yeah.
Right, West Indies. They are going to be at the World Cup. Their famous person is Shaggy. Shaggy is it's quite hard to do a famous person for the West Indies. The West Indies isn't a country, so you have to just pick someone from the one of the islands. I went with Shaggy. My reasoning is that although Shaggy is a legend, his best hits are behind him.
Solid.
I think you can say the same about the West Indies. Look, both of them could make a comeback. I'm not saying no. I can see in the future golden days ahead for Shaggy and the West Indies, but right now, maybe not. There's probably some joke you can make about Hetmeyer being caught red-handed or something like that as well. Yeah. But he wasn't really caught doing anything. He just didn't fucking turn up for the plane. Weirdly, playing club cricket at home
Well, I've got a few players who are pretty bombastic as well, haven't they?
Nice. Well, nice. That's it. Road to the UAE. It's a bit of a dismal story. They're in the qualifiers because they're ranked so lowly in international T20 cricket, and until relatively recently, that wasn't the thing for the West Indies. It was kind of, the Test team had faded. They weren't what they were in ODIs, but they still had a cachet in the game as, I wouldn't say maybe the masters of T20 cricket, but certainly one of the nations that did it best. Most of those players have moved on now. I don't think the replacements are as good. Let's talk about some of those replacements. Batting wise, I don't want to write them off because they have got some equipment. Yeah,
they've got some heavy Hillary up the top of the order, haven't they? Never Lewis.
If we've got Lewis, we've got Puran, we've got Rothman Powell, we've got Jason Holder. There's players. Odin Smith, long ball. There's some players in that lineup. How they all fit in is tricky, and whether Shamar Brooks and Kyle Mayers will play, and how they play, and whether they're good enough anchors to really, facilitate the rest of the team is tricky. Obviously, they've lost Pollard recently. Trey Russ has retired. Shimron Hetmeyer not getting on the plane is a problem for them. Well, it is.
It's an exciting team to follow. It is an exciting team to follow. I can't believe
that is literally what happened. It's not a facetious description of why Shimron Hetmeyer's not there. He just didn't get on the plane.
In his first, he had a family situation, so he asked if he could get on a later flight. West Indies Cricket Board said yes. He just didn't turn up. I don't know any more than that. He's playing club cricket today in the West Indies. It's odd. Bowling again. It's not crap with the ball. It's just not as good as it used to be. Alzari Joseph, Obed McCoy, Sheldon Cottrell, Jason Holder. Then the three seamers are not all necessarily going to play. I think Cottrell might be on the bench, but they're not. They're players who have got into the IPL mainly on the strength of their bowling. Now, were all of them amazing? Not necessarily.
Obed McCoy is great,
but they have skills. They have skills, and there are people in cricket who have recognised that and pick them for major franchise competitions. That they should not be in the qualifying ground. They should not be here, but they are. That's West Indies. Where they might fall down bowling wise is the rest of the overs. Akeal Hussain, left arm spinner. Is he quite up to it? I'm not sure. I think that'll be interesting on pitches that might not spin. That some of those drop-in pitches with shortish boundaries is what we're led to believe will be the case. That could be trouble. Kyle Mayers and Odin Smith probably gonna have to pick up some overs as well. We were calling Odin Smith O'Dear Smith for his bowling at the IPL. So
nothing to change my mind either.
Yeah. Pedigree, they've won it twice. Last time out was a retirement party. Anything could happen. I think is the chances thing.
Are they in trouble in this group?
I don't think they're in trouble. I think they're the best team in the group. I think actually when you look at those players, you have to say that they're better than Ireland. You have to say it. You have to say that they're better than Zimbabwe, and clearly they're better than Scotland. Is it possible that Zimbabwe or Ireland could beat them? Absolutely, it is. They're not that much better than them, but I expect them to beat at least one of them in Scotland and get through. Probably win them all. And if they get on a roll, potentially challenge some teams in the next round. It's not inconceivable. I think that might be a stretch too far, though.
Well, England were involved in a pretty tight T20 series against them when they toured only this year. So
didn't they beat Oz in the last of their T20s recently as well?
They've got a good selection of players. I think that the pace is always the bit for me when the step up in difference, and someone like Alzari Joseph will cause some serious trouble, I think.
Yeah, their kit is kind of yellow. I don't like it when the West Indies do that. I think they should stick to maroon.
Yeah, it's got the red arms and the yellow chest. Yeah,
and I'm done. Done.
So over to Zimbabwe then. Zimbabwe's famous person. This was.
Don't put Robert Mugabe.
I wouldn't do that, would I? Come on, Jack would do it. I wouldn't do that. It's not me. No, Zimbabwe's famous person is Steve McConey. He is a comedian and guitarist, and known in particular for one of his songs, Svachnoyana, I think. It's an exaggerated love song, which includes the line "Kana Asipo Handije Apedza Hupfu Nudiani," which translates to, "If you aren't there, my love, I won't eat. But then who is finishing the food in the cupboard?" Well, I can tell you the answer to that question. It is Edo Brandes, because every time he fucks his wife, she gives him a biscuit.
What's that got to do with this team?
I don't know. Bravo! There's going to be people who
didn't I?
There's going to be people who really like that part.
Yeah.
Like, well done, Max.
Thank you.
Well done, Max.
So Zimbabwe's route to the World Cup, they, as you said earlier, overcame the Netherlands in the final qualification of their thing. They also beat the USA, Papua New Guinea, I think Jersey as well. But they won they won 5 out of 5, but it was in Zimbabwe. But anyway, it was a pretty good showing, and they've had a pretty good time of it recently as well. They've beaten Bangladesh in T20s and ODI series recently. At home, they ran India close in an ODI in India.
Very close, yeah.
And they beat a strong Australia side away in an ODI as well. So they're on a pretty good upward curve at the moment. Captained by the evergreen Craig Irvine, 37 years old. He's back from a hamstring injury to anchor at the top of the order. So that's good for them. I think key player for them, though, will be Sikandar Raza, who has been sort of, really the mainstay of the runs that they've scored over the past year. He's propelled his T20 strike rate from a measly 106-ish to over 150 in a few months this year. And he scored piles of runs in both in the qualification tournaments and the sort of bilateral series. So they'll be looking for him to take them along the way. And he also provides some useful spin. And I think that's the thing for Zimbabwe. You know, we were talking about like a lot of the teams got guys making up the numbers who sort of not really necessarily like in the side for anything in particular. Zimbabwe are really well balanced as a side. Like, you know, I don't think there's anyone who's like a massive like sort of star, I guess, in a sense, but they've got loads of all-rounders. They've got spin from Raza can offer some useful off spin. They've got Ryan Burlow who can bowl leg spin and he can bat as well. They've got 3 of their pacers have just come back from injury as well, which is good timing for them. I think they'll be they'll be really useful. And also look out for Sean Williams' reverse sweep. But essentially, they've got something all the way through. So they're not a bad side at all, Zimbabwe. They're really coming into a sort of good time of it. Negatives, unfortunately, Lance Cluson's just ditched them as batting coach like 3 days ago.
Oh, Lance!
A bit of a blow. He's gone to.
That could be seen as a benefit. Like you don't want a bottle job, do you, in your team?
Yeah, he's gone to pursue other opportunities apparently that don't quite fit with the schedule of the World Cup. So that's a shame. But
will that be a contract in the CSA T20 competition by any chance?
Could be. But yeah, it's their first World Cup since 2016, and their most famous entrant in T20 World Cups was their famous upset of Australia in 2007, thanks to the bowling of Elton Chigumbura and unbeaten 60 from Brendan Taylor. So they've been around. They've got they've been there. They've had good sides in the past. I think this is a pretty decent side they've got at the moment. Kit is sort of some combination of red with some yellow stripes, and it's all right. It's a pretty classic Zimbabwe kit.
Does it have a bird on it?
Yeah, I think it's got sort of the flag, the sort of bird
Cool.
flag in the middle, and then like the
Yeah.
stripes. But yeah, I think they're decent. I think it'll be. Obviously, it's going to be them in Ireland, isn't it? Pretty much battling it out for that second qualifying spot. But I think they've got a good shot. They have beaten Ireland recently, so.
It kind of gave me Burnley vibes, Burnley in the Premier League vibes. Like they're going to be pretty solid, maybe a little bit difficult to beat.
Yeah,
and they can cause a bit of trouble for someone, but not particularly talented.
No, but I mean they've won high scoring games, they've won low scoring games, so both the batting unit and the bowling unit can do it when they need to, and I think they'll be interesting. I think they'll surprise a few people.
I'm excited to see Zimbabwe back in a World Cup.
Yeah,
I feel like cricket is better when Zimbabwe are good.
Cricket needs a strong Zimbabwe. Is that what you're saying?
Well, no, I know.
Yeah, we're taking the cricket needs a strong West Indies, and we're
to
going
be
for
a
a hipster
global
version.
To be a properly global game, you do need a little bit of Zimbabwe action, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Then you've got the Southern African powerhouse operating at full capacity, haven't you? You've got Zimbabwe and South Africa playing, and now Namibia too. I think that's good. West Indies, similarly. I mean, it's the same dynamic, isn't it? You need someone in the Americas playing the game for it to be a proper.
Well, you've got
America. We've got someone to play against.
Well, North America's coming up pretty quickly, and they're going to be they're hosting the next one.
We haven't mentioned Rakeem Cornwall and his minor league cricket exploits, have we?
No, we haven't.
Has anyone explained how he was celebrating the double 100 while the umpire was signaling a wide?
No.
I mean, it was probably they weren't counting quick enough. Like,
yeah.
Look, I don't.
It was some sort of joke tournament, wasn't it?
No, it's not. Like, not all of the teams in minor league cricket are bad, but some of them are. And
yeah,
when that happens, sometimes you get scorers that can't keep up if you're scoring 6 runs a ball.
Let's stick with Zimbabwe. Max, their chances. So they're going to go through. You think they're going to go through with West Indies?
I think they might pip Ireland. Yeah. I think it'll be tight, but I think they'll come over in that one. And yeah, I mean, who knows what will happen? They might get a scalp in the Super 12s. I think they've got that in them. But I mean, the odds are 250, 300 to 1 overall to win it, which obviously is far and away not long enough. But I mean, I think they could easily beat Bangladesh or something. And Bangladesh are like 66 to 1.
So, yeah, I think if you ran the tournament 250 times, I can see Zimbabwe making the final.
Okay,
I can. I think you only need
that's one weird cricket captain run. That is.
They only need to win 2. They only need to win 2 group matches. Get lucky in the next round. Pump somebody terrible. Get a good net run rate and
semis maybe. I think final might be a stretch in 250.
250 times. 250 times is a lot of times.
It's a lot of
you don't think. I'm not saying.
I suppose everyone could get injured in all the other teams in one of those. Or there could be some sort of like weird chili con carne.
Maybe Butler just will give up appealing full stop.
Yeah.
We'll make a
protest. Stop bowling at the stumps, Mark.
Right, next team. Let's finish this off. We might have to do questions on another show. We've got loads of questions. We need to do them. But
yeah, okay. I'll go through Ireland then. The person I think best represents Ireland is, again, I've got 2 because I couldn't quite figure out who it'd be.
Read the brief, mate.
Look, if you could tell me who you'd rather pick out of Mark Kinsella and the Edge out of you 2, then be my guest. But that for me
are they the only famous Irishmen?
No, they're not they're obviously not the only famous Irishmen. But
James, I've got no famous women in this entire show.
No.
Well, because they wouldn't represent the men's playing, would they? If it was the women, we could choose the women. Like we're not. Yeah, I don't know.
We fucked it.
We have fucked it.
We have fucked it. Okay. I'm trying to. Yeah. Well. So Mark Kinsella, famously Charlton Athletics' reliable centre midfielder, and it's unglamorous, and that's what I think this team really is. I don't think it's a glamorous outfit. I think the team has to perform like Charlton did under Alan Kirbishley to be better than the sum of its parts, and that's what I think it's going for. The edge that I chose because I don't think any of them. You don't really have a standout star in this who wants to be a standout star. You've always got the support act around it, and yeah, that's my two choices. Mark Kinsella feels more akin to what I'm about. They came through the global qualifier A where they beat Oman. Andrew Balbirnie is the captain. He's not got a great record in T20 cricket, but he is one of their best players. He's an effective operator and again is an anchor who will do this. Yes, Jack.
Got bounced out by James Vince once.
Well, there we go. See, so decent player, but not much pedigree when it comes to the T20 game. I think that the person that people will know most is Paul Sterling. He is the selfless, destructive opening batter who's played well in the 100, played well in the PSL. I think he's had some good times in the CPL as well. Josh Little was bowling in the nets for CSK at this year's IPL. And Harry Tector has been touted as one with serious potential and had a recent stint with Barbados Royals. And hit a century against the Kiwis in their recent ODI series. Chances-wise, it's difficult to say. They've got a decent amount of experience in this side, and they've adopted an attacking, throw caution to the wind style approach to batting, accompanied with a decent variety of bowling in their bowling unit. So I think they'll be good fun to follow. I think a tournament like this, where they are a minnow in the grand scheme of things, is the best approach for getting to the big time. And I think we could either expect them to qualify in style or crash out, failing kind of a blaze of glory. So yeah, I think they'll be pretty interesting. They'll need mega performances from Sterling to get them off to a flyer, and then hope that their middle order really goes for it, and then hope their matchups with their series, their variety does the trick. World Cup pedigree, not good.
I mean, you say that they've got Curtis Campher, haven't they?
Yeah, and he's
4 wickets and 4 balls fame.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, and again, they've got some decent players, but no one is really going to set this alight. They've done fuck all in World Cup history in T20s.
Paul Sterling's a proper player.
And they wear green, which isn't very helpful for the colourblind fans. Or actually, or is it helpful? I don't know with that. Yeah, no, I don't think it's
probably not.
Not good for normal vision people anyway. So that's Ireland.
Maybe they'll all blend in with the grass, and they won't. And so some of the batters won't see the boundary fielders, and they'll just end up holding out to guys that they didn't know were there.
Maybe face paint would be good. I mean, green face paint, green hat, green kit, those Puma green shoes that they wear. That's maybe camouflage cricket's the next.
Look like the Hulk. Ireland are potentially one of those teams, I think, that could demonstrate how much variance there is in T20 cricket. Like it isn't beyond the realms of possibility that they beat Zimbabwe and the West Indies. Like that could happen, and lose to Scotland. Like that, that could be their route to qualification.
The Gaelic derby.
They're probably a little bit worse than the other two, but within range, and probably a little bit better than Scotland, but within range.
Mm-hmm.
So there could be a fun team to watch at this World Cup. Are we to wrap up the preview section, should we say who we think will go through from both groups? Group A, who do you think is going through? Sri Lanka.
Yeah,
I'm going to say Netherlands.
Really?
Over Namibia.
I'm feeling Namibia. Don't know why.
Or Ross
I'm
deciding vote.
Namibia.
Yeah, I was going to go Namibia and Sri Lanka for me.
So Sri Lanka and Namibia through from Group A. Group B, West Indies are going through, aren't they?
It should do.
I think they might crash out. I think sometimes you have to hit rock bottom, and maybe this is the bit to hit rock bottom.
You reckon it's going to be Ireland, Zimbabwe?
Rock bottom for West Indies will be not qualifying for the 50 over World Cup, and I think that's going to happen.
Yeah,
I think they'll get through this group though.
So, but I like this group. Like, I think in terms of like when you've seen like other World Cup qualifiers, I do sometimes in those groups you're a little bit like, oh, there's gonna be some real dead rubbers in this.
Yeah.
Like
No,
in this
it's-
group, every game has jeopardy, consequence, and has some pretty good cricketers on show. So what more do you want?
So West Indies and the other team.
I
say
reckon
Zimbabwe.
Zimbabwe.
Yeah,
Oh,
I'm back in Zimbabwe.
Oh, there we go. Group of death decided. Let's wrap up this show. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much for watching. It's been a pretty long one by our recent standards. World Cup's going to be good. Questions we will do on a separate podcast. We've got lots of them, but we don't want it to be 2 hours long, so we'll chop it up at least.
Yeah, I'm pretty hungry
Friday
right
or
now.
something like that. Cool. All right.
Good. Thanks for listening. Goodbye.
Bye.
You're listening to the Cricket Podcast.